Goldman Sachs may have played a bigger role than we thought in the fueling the mortgage crisis, but is the Treasury Department, maybe even a bigger story, trying to cover it up? Joining me now from Chicago is Janet Tavakoli, president of Tavakoli's Structured Finance and author of Dear Mr. Buffett, What an Investor Learns 1,269 Miles from Wall Street. Janet, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Sandra.
Hey, so, answer the question for us. Is the Treasury Department perhaps trying to cover something up here with Goldman Sachs?
Well, I think you have to look at the reports that are coming out of Washington. And the reports that have come out of Washington have missed key questions. How is it that somebody like me sitting in Chicago can uncover information that wasn't revealed, as an example, in the November 17th report by the Inspector General of our TARP program? As an example, the report talked about things that were already well covered in the media, the fact that billions of dollars were transferred inevitably to investment banks. But it missed the most important part, that many of those investment banks, and Goldman in particular, created some of these value-destroying securitizations. And when you looked at those, you found that they were filled with air. So a lot of the mega bonuses that were paid by Goldman Sachs and by Merrill Lynch and others were based on sales of hot air. And now they're proposing to pay large mega bonuses that are based in a large part by taxpayer subsidies. That was completely missed by that report. Another thing that was completely missed, yeah?
But Janet, are you saying that it was missed, or that the Treasury Department turned a blind eye and is covering it up?
Well, the Treasury Department did turn a blind eye, and a lot of that was covered up at the time. None of that was put in the public domain at the time that the bailouts were made, and those were key issues. Reporters were asking about that. They were asking, who are the counterparties? What is the nature of the securities that AIG protected? And none of it was revealed that Goldman had a key role in that. And more than that, this created huge systemic risk. Goldman is bigger than ever, its competitors are gone, and it poses more systemic risk than ever. And we're being told they were great risk managers, and yet they were responsible for a huge amount of systemic risk related to AIG. More than that, the way that the bailout was done was also quite a bit of a cover-up. We paid out 100 cents on the dollar for some of these value-destroying securitizations, many of which Goldman underwrote. But just prior to that, months prior, another bond insurer had settled for 13 cents on the dollar with Merrill Lynch. And these are extraordinary circumstances that surrounded the AIG bailout. Taxpayers should ask for some of that money back. We basically paid for tainted baby food. U.S. taxpayers were not sophisticated investors. AIG was, and they foolishly agreed to protect these things. But the U.S. taxpayer now has paid out billions of dollars to people who created value-destroying securitizations. We should ask for some of that back. We should claw back a lot of that money before Goldman Sachs pays out huge bonuses to its employees. Those are tax-subsidized bonuses. And not only that, but bonuses they paid in prior years, mega bonuses, were based on selling hot air.
Janet, I got just a couple of seconds. What does this mean for 2010? Are we going to have more hearings? Are we going to have more committees being formed? Obviously, if you found some of this out, others are going to be asking questions about it as well.
Well, they should be, but a lot of the people who are on those committees are lawyers who basically aren't qualified to ask the right questions. Either that or they're part of the whitewash that's coming out of Washington. These reports seem to be pretty well whitewashed.
All right, thank you very much, Janet. We certainly appreciate it. President of Tavakoli Structured Finance.